Success is not a secret. It's just a system most people never stick to. That's the truth. Not something fancy, just real life. People keep asking why they're not getting ahead. They work hard, they try new things, but nothing really changes. You know why? Because they don't follow a system. They do things here and there, stop and start, hope something clicks. But success doesn't work like that. It needs structure, a clear routine, a daily process that keeps running, even when you're tired, even when you're not feeling it. If you're serious about getting results, you have to stop guessing. You have to stop chasing motivation. What you need is a system that helps you stay focused, stay disciplined, and stay on track. This video isn't for people who want quick tips. It's for people who are ready to finally take control. So if you've had enough of doing things halfway, stay with this. It will change how you work and how you live. Chapter 1. Figure out your system and stop guessing blindly. You don't need to wait for perfect timing. You don't need to wait for the right energy, the right people, or the right motivation to show up. Success doesn't respond to wishful thinking, it responds to structure. That's the truth people miss. They think success is hiding somewhere behind a secret door. It's not, it's sitting out in the open. But only people with a system can reach it. If you're still guessing your way through life, hoping it works out, then you're handing your future over to chance, and that's not how winners are made. Everything changes when you stop guessing and start building your system. You want more out of life? Then you have to stop waking up and hoping today's a good day. You've got to make it one. That requires structure. That requires steps. That requires clarity. A system is nothing but a set of rules and actions that you control. It removes the guessing. And when you remove the guessing, you remove most of the frustration. People waste years trying different things, jumping from one idea to the next. They think trying harder is the answer. But success doesn't come from just trying hard. It comes from doing what works, again and again. The truth is, if you don't have a system, your hard work is scattered. You could work for 10 hours a day and still be spinning your wheels because you're not aligned with anything consistent. You need to start with one simple question. What do you want? Don't rush it. You can't build a system if you don't know what it's meant to produce. Do you want better health, stronger finances, more peace of mind? Be honest with yourself. Clarity is power. The clearer you are, the stronger your system will be, and the sooner you get clear, the faster you can stop wasting energy. Once you're clear, stop guessing what to do next. Start designing what to do next. That's how you figure out your system. You can't just do things because they sound good. You have to do things because they get you closer to what you've chosen. Random effort doesn't create predictable results. But systems do. Ask yourself, what actions move me forward? Don't chase motivation, chase routine. You'll never build anything lasting if your actions depend on how you feel that day. That's the trap. The winners you see, those with the lifestyle, the discipline, the mindset, it's not because they're always motivated. It's because they've created systems that don't wait for emotions. They just run the process. Now, here's something most people avoid. Tracking. If you don't track your actions, you're still guessing. And as long as you're guessing, you're giving power to confusion. You can't improve what you don't measure. You want to lose weight? Track your meals. You want to grow your income? Track your hours, your efforts, your results. This isn't complicated. It's just uncomfortable for people who want shortcuts. But if you're serious about building your life, you've got to be real with yourself. What's working, what's not? Where are you consistent? Where do you drop the ball? This is where growth starts, when you stop hiding from your patterns and start fixing them. and the arid. It started in a desert. Too many people ask the wrong questions. They ask, why is success so hard? Or why does it work for them but not for me? The better question is, what system are they using that I'm not? If someone's ahead of you in life, it's because they're following a stronger system. It's not about being smarter or more talented. It's about being more structured. You need a method. You need a framework that works every single day, no matter what mood you're in. Every area of life that's successful is built on systems. Look around. Businesses don't run on guesses, they run on systems. Athletes don't win championships on luck, they win with systems. And your life? It needs the same thing. If you want consistent results, then you need consistent effort. And that comes from a repeatable system you believe in. Start with your mornings. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it planned or is it random? That first hour sets the tone for everything else. If you leave it to chance, the rest of your day will follow the same chaos. But if you control it, even in small ways, you train your mind to follow structure. That's where confidence grows, from doing things with purpose. Next, look at how you make decisions. If you're reacting all day, you're not running a system. You're getting dragged around by circumstances. Strong systems reduce decisions. They make certain things non-negotiable. For example, work out 3 times a week, read every night before bed, plan the next day before sleeping. These aren't motivational ideas. These are system pieces. They remove decision fatigue and keep you moving forward. Here's another truth. Your system doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Don't copy someone else's routine word for word. Build one that fits your life and your goals. The best system is the one you actually follow. You can always adjust it later, but what matters now is that you stop operating on guesswork. You'll face resistance. Your old habits will pull you back. Your mind will say, this is too much, but that's the cost of real progress, getting uncomfortable on purpose. Systems don't just build discipline, they rebuild your identity. Every time you follow your system, even when it's hard, you're proving something to yourself, that you're not guessing anymore, you're building something real. If you're feeling stuck right now, there's a reason. You haven't built a process. You've been reacting, hoping, waiting. But none of that creates success. What creates it is taking back control. And control comes from systemizing your actions. Look at your week. What do your patterns say about you? Are you working on purpose or just surviving? Are you doing the same things over and over, expecting life to change? The honest truth is, if your system is weak, your results will be inconsistent. But the good news is, you can change that. Right now, start by writing out your process. Keep it simple. What will you do every morning? What matters most to you? How will you measure progress? What distractions will you remove? That's your system beginning to take shape. And when you follow it day after day, something powerful happens. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop guessing what to do. You become the kind of person who moves forward no matter what. That's how people grow. That's how lives change. Not through sudden breakthroughs, but through strong systems, repeated daily. If you do what works again and again, it will be almost impossible not to win. So the real question is, are you willing to stop guessing and start building? Because success isn't a mystery, it's not luck, it's not talent, it's not timing, it's structure, it's system, and the sooner you understand that, the sooner you take full control of your future. Chapter 2. Stop avoiding hard things and face them early. Most people know exactly what they need to do, but the truth is they avoid it, not because they're lazy, not because they're not smart, but but because it's hard. And hard things bring discomfort. They bring pressure. They bring fear. That's what causes people to hold back. They wait. They delay. They tell themselves, I'll start tomorrow. I'll fix it next week. I just need a little more time. But time is not the solution if you're still running from what actually needs to be done. Success doesn't avoid difficulty. Success is built through it. If you want to grow, you have to stop looking for the easiest way and start facing what's necessary. Avoiding the hard things only makes life harder in the long run. The more you delay, the more the weight grows. Problems don't disappear because you ignore them. They grow in silence, and one day they become too heavy to hide. The strongest people aren't those who feel the best. They're the ones who face what others keep putting off. You can't create a better life while running from pressure. You have to step into it. That phone call you've been avoiding, make it. That conversation you're afraid to have, speak up. That decision you've been postponing because it might not work, make it. Waiting doesn't build courage, doing does. And if you keep avoiding what makes you uncomfortable, you'll spend your whole life stuck in the same cycle, wanting change but fearing the process that creates it. You grow by doing the hard things early, not by waiting until they become urgent. When you face the hard stuff first, everything else becomes easier. Most people try to build comfort around their problems, hoping they'll become easier to deal with later. But it's not about comfort. It's about courage. When you wake up and take action on the one thing you least want to do, you train your mind to stop being scared of effort. You take back control. You build the habit of showing up with strength. Avoiding the hard things steals your energy. It creates stress that sits in the background all day. It fills your thoughts with guilt. You know you're supposed to deal with it, but you keep pushing it to the side. And deep down, that eats at your confidence because you feel like you're not being honest with yourself. You say you want progress, but you're not doing the things that create it. That's the gap that holds people back. It's not ability, it's not time, it's not knowledge. It's avoidance. Think about how many hours, how many weeks, how many months you've spent just trying to feel ready. You tell yourself you'll act when you feel stronger, when life is calmer, when fear fades. But it won't. Life rarely slows down. The fear rarely disappears. If anything, it grows the longer you wait. Because your mind builds stories, it adds weight to the task. It imagines the worst, and before you know it, something simple becomes a monster in your mind. Not because it was impossible, but because it sat in the dark for too long. The best way to kill fear is action. The best way to build strength is repetition. The best way to grow is by leaning into what challenges you. Every time you choose the hard thing early, directly, and without delay, you build a stronger version of yourself, not just physically or mentally, but emotionally. You start trusting yourself. You prove to yourself that you're not the type who hides, you're the type who handles it. That builds real pride, not the kind you talk about, the kind you feel when no one's around. When you look at your day and know, I faced it. I didn't run. I handled it. That's what builds self-respect. And self-respect is where confidence begins. The longer you wait, the more the fear grows. The earlier you move, the more power you gain. You don't need more motivation. You don't need someone to hold your hand. What you need is the decision to act before excuses show up. That's what makes the difference. There's something that happens when you take ownership over hard things. You stop blaming others. You stop waiting for someone else to fix it. You stop looking around for a shortcut. You realize the only way forward is through. And when you start choosing the difficult path, you stop fearing it. You begin to expect challenge. You begin to respect it, because you understand this is where real change comes from. If you're avoiding something right now, ask yourself why. Is it because it's truly impossible? Or is it because it's uncomfortable? Be honest. You might find that the only thing standing between you and your next level is a conversation you won't have, a decision you won't make, or a habit you won't break. Most of life's progress is built on choices you make in moments of discomfort. You won't always feel ready, you won't always feel strong, but you can always choose to act. Strength isn't something you wait for, it's something you earn by showing up when it's hard. Facing hard things early also creates space. It clears your mind, it gives you energy. You don't spend your day running from tasks in your head, you do them. And that gives you a quiet confidence, because you know you're living on your terms. You know you're building a life that isn't based on avoidance. Avoidance teaches your mind to expect relief, but relief doesn't build a future. Discipline does. Ownership does. Systems do. You can build discipline by doing one thing each morning that you've been avoiding. Start there. Just one thing. That's how momentum begins. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing something intentionally, consistently, early. No waiting, no excuses. You'll notice something over time. The things you used to avoid become normal. The things that once scared you become part of your routine. That's growth. And it comes from facing your resistance. Every time you do what's hard first, you win. You win against hesitation. You win against weakness. You win against the old version of you that kept waiting. That win builds character, and character is what holds your future together when things get tough. Because success won't always feel exciting. It won't always come with rewards right away. But if you've trained yourself to lean into pressure, to handle responsibility, and to choose discomfort before it chooses you, you'll be ready. Success doesn't hide in easy tasks. It's hidden inside the thing you keep putting off, that one task you think is too big, that one habit you keep saying you'll fix later, that one step that scares you more than it should. You already know what it is. Now face it. Don't wait until stress piles up. Don't wait until you're backed into a corner. Handle the hard things while they're still small. That's wisdom. That's maturity. That's system thinking. Build the habit of facing it early, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. Most people want results without the discomfort, but the discomfort is what builds the results. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you start to win. Remember, your success will always match your ability to deal with pressure. So stop looking for the easy path. Stop waiting for the fear to go away. You already have what you need to move forward. What you're missing is the decision to stop avoiding the hard things and face them early.
Chapter 3. Do what matters even when you feel tired. There will be days when you wake up and everything feels heavier. You'll feel low on energy. You won't be excited. You won't be motivated. You'll look at your schedule, and even the smallest task will seem like too much. And that's the exact moment your character is tested. Not when things feel good, but when you're tired and don't want to do anything. That's the real battle most people lose. Not because they aren't capable, but because they wait to feel perfect before they take action. If you only work when you feel energized, then your progress will always be inconsistent. But if you learn how to move forward even on the days when your energy is low, your emotions are off, and your body is dragging, that's when you become unshakable. You don't build your future on the days that feel good. You build it on the days you show up regardless. Tiredness isn't the enemy. What matters is what you do with it. Everyone gets tired. Everyone feels off. But some people still do what matters. They've trained their mind to lead their body. They've trained their priorities to lead their actions. They don't negotiate with their feelings. They follow their decisions. That's the difference. You either let your feelings decide what gets done, or you let your values take control. Only one of those leads to success. There's something powerful about sticking to your plan when you least feel like it, when you're exhausted, but still show up, when your head is cloudy but you finish what you promised yourself. That's how real discipline is built. Not through hype, but through choices you make in the quiet moments, when no one's watching. You earn trust with yourself by proving that effort doesn't depend on your mood. You don't need to feel great to take action. You just need to take action to feel better. Movement creates energy. When you sit still, you stay stuck. But the moment you begin, even with something small, you start breaking the grip of fatigue. The hardest part is the first push. After that, you build momentum, and with every step you remind yourself, you're not controlled by how you feel. You're in charge. People waste too much time waiting for motivation. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes, but systems are solid. You can have a structure in place that tells you what to do, even when your body says no. That's how you keep making progress when everything feels heavy. You stop asking how you feel and start asking what matters. That single shift will change your life. You've got responsibility. You've got goals, and those goals don't care if you slept badly or if you're not in the mood. They're waiting for you to move, whether you're ready or not. And the more often you choose action in those low moments, the more you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people slow down when they're tired. Winners slow down, but they don't stop. They move slower, but they don't reverse. That's a mindset you've got to build. It's okay to take a breath. It's okay to feel off. But it's not okay to waste the day because of even a slow step forward beats standing still. You may not be able to do it all today, but you can do something, and that something is what keeps your system alive. The worst mistake is to stop entirely just because the day doesn't feel perfect. That's how people lose momentum, and once momentum is gone, it's harder to restart. When your body says rest, and your mind says quit, and everything in you wants to delay, do one thing anyway, not 10 things, not a full list, just one meaningful task. That's how mental strength is built. You teach yourself that you don't quit just because things aren't ideal. You keep your word, you follow your structure, and you stay committed to what matters. That's how you grow. There will be times when your eyes are tired, your thoughts are slow, and you question everything. That's normal. You're human. But the decision you make in those moments is what separates growth from regret. If you always wait to feel better, you'll spend most of your time waiting. But if you act first, your energy often returns. The mind respects effort. It wakes up when you start moving. Success is not built in perfect conditions. It's built in imperfect hours, through small actions done by people who choose responsibility over comfort. They've learned to operate on commitment, not convenience. They've made peace with the fact that some days will feel heavier, and that's okay. The mission still matters. The goals still matter. The system still matters. When you feel tired, that's your chance to rise. Not dramatically, not loudly, quietly, steadily. You keep moving. You show yourself that one off day doesn't break your progress. You show your future that you're still in the game. And even if you move slowly, you still move with intention. You can either feel tired and do nothing, or feel tired and do what matters most. That choice defines your direction. It's not about doing it all. It's about not quitting on what counts. Some of your most important breakthroughs will come on days when you least expect them, right after you almost gave yourself permission to stop. Be careful with how often you listen to tiredness. Sometimes it's your body asking for rest, but sometimes it's your mind testing your limit. Know the difference. Real rest comes after responsibility, not before it. Do the work first, then pause, then reflect, but don't make rest your default response to resistance. That's how people stay stuck in the same place for years. You've got to earn your confidence by how you act when it's tough. Anyone can work when they're full of energy, but very few keep working when everything in them wants to take the easy way out. That's the standard you set. You're not like everyone else. You're someone who follows through, especially when it's inconvenient. There will be distractions, there will be emotions, but your job is to stay locked on the one thing that truly matters: progress. Even tired progress, even slow progress, because it's still progress. And progress, even in small amounts, builds belief. It keeps your system alive. It moves your life forward. You don't need to do everything today, but you need to do the one thing that matters most. Don't confuse tiredness with an excuse to check out. Some of your best days will begin with low energy and end with pride, because you didn't let how you felt decide how you lived. You'll thank yourself tomorrow for not quitting today. You'll feel stronger every time you work through the resist, and over time that strength becomes part of who you are, not because you were always energized, but because you were always committed. So next time you feel tired, don't ask yourself how to feel better. Ask yourself what matters most right now, and go do that. Even if it's a small task, even if it's quiet, even if it doesn't look impressive, because doing what matters when you're tired is what creates the future you want, and that choice, repeated daily, is how real progress is made.
Chapter 4. Change your habits before they control your direction. Every single day, your habits are taking you somewhere. Whether you realize it or not, they are shaping your future in the background. What you do without thinking is either helping you move forward or quietly pulling you away from the life you want. And if you don't take control of your habits early, they will decide your direction for you. That's how most people lose their momentum, not because they don't have goals, but because their daily behavior leads them somewhere they never intended to go. The truth is, your habits don't care what your dreams are. They only care what you repeat. You can say you want to succeed. You can write your goals down. You can talk about how serious you are, but if your habits are working against you, your results will never match your intentions. That's not personal, that's structure. That's cause and effect. Most people wait too long to fix their patterns. They wait until they're overwhelmed. They wait until something breaks. They wait until they've drifted too far from who they want to be. And by then, their habits have already built walls around their life. Walls that are harder to break down the longer they stay standing. But it doesn't have to get that far. You can interrupt the pattern early. You can decide right now that certain behaviors stop here. Not because they're evil, but because they don't serve the direction you want to take. Think about the first hour of your day. Think about how you spend your evenings. Think about how often you reach for your phone without meaning to. Think about the small choices you make when no one's watching. These little decisions are writing your future. The food you eat, the time you go to sleep, the thoughts you allow to repeat, all of it compounds, and soon enough it becomes automatic. The longer you repeat something, the less you think about it. That's how habits work. What starts as a decision becomes a default, and if you're not careful, that default can lead you away from everything you truly care about. That's why awareness is the first step to change. You can't fix what you don't notice. You have to study yourself. You have to step back and ask, what am I doing every day that's shaping the direction of my life? Once you see it, you have to take responsibility for it. You can't blame your schedule, or your parents, or your job, or your environment. You are the one who builds your pattern, and if you built them, you can rebuild them. That's the beauty of being human. You're not stuck with who you've been. You can upgrade the system that runs your life. Start with one habit. Don't try to fix everything at once.
Pick one behavior that no longer fits the person you're becoming. Maybe it's how you spend your nights. Maybe it's how you speak to yourself. Maybe it's how you handle stress. Choose one and replace it with something better. Not something extreme, but something sustainable. That's how real change begins. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest. Ask yourself, if I keep living like this for the next 5 years, where will I end up? Don't guess. Be clear. Map it out. Look at the direction your current habits are taking you. Are they helping you build more health, more focus, more discipline, more peace? Or are they quietly stealing your time, your energy, your potential? If you don't change your habits, they will trap you. They'll form invisible routines that feel normal but keep you limited. You won't even realize it until one day you wake up and wonder how your life drifted so far off course. Don't wait for that moment. Step in now. Take control early. Make the adjustments before the damage multiplies. Habits are powerful because they don't ask for permission. They repeat whether you want them to or not. And if you don't choose them, they'll be chosen for you, by your environment, by your emotions, by your past, by your impulses. That's not freedom. That's reaction. And reaction doesn't lead to progress. If you want to grow, you have to live intentionally. You have to build routines that align with your values. This isn't about motivation. It's about creating a system that runs even when your energy is low. That's what habits are. A system you no longer have to think about. When you build the right ones, you free up your mind to focus on bigger things. You create space for growth. You move through your day with clarity instead of confusion. Changing habits takes effort, yes, but the effort is temporary. Once the new behavior becomes normal, it gets easier. The beginning is the hardest part. That's when your mind resists change. That's when your old patterns fight back. But if you push through the first stretch, you build momentum. And soon enough, the new behavior becomes just as automatic as the one you replaced. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they can keep their old habits and still get new results. That's not how it works. You can't keep pressing snooze and expect to feel more productive. You can't keep checking social media all day and expect to stay focused. You can't keep eating junk and expect to feel your best. Your actions shape your identity. And if you want to become someone new, you have to act like that person now, not later. You've got to protect your direction. Your habits are the steering wheel of your life. If you give it away, don't be surprised when you end up somewhere you never wanted to go. Take the wheel back. Create habits that pull you toward your goals. Create habits that reinforce the mindset you're trying to build. This is your responsibility. No one can do it for you. You have to decide what you will tolerate in your life and what you won't. Every time you act out of habit, you're casting a vote for the kind of life you're building. And every vote matters. Don't wait until your life is off course to start paying attention. You're always one habit away from a new direction. It doesn't have to be something massive. It can be waking up 30 minutes earlier. It can be journaling for 10 minutes. It can be stretching instead of scrolling. It can be making your bed, drinking more water, walking in silence, reading before bed. Small actions, done consistently, can change the way you think, feel, and move. That's the power of habits. They don't just change your schedule, they change your mindset. And once your mindset changes, your life follows. You'll start noticing that you complain less. You react slower. You think clearer. You move with more confidence. That's not magic. That's structure. That's the result of living with intention instead of autopilot. But it all starts with one honest decision. Are you willing to look at your habits and admit which ones are holding you back? That question isn't always easy to answer, But if you do, you put yourself back in charge. You become the one steering the course, not just watching life happen to you. You don't need to fix everything today, but you need to start before your current habits tighten their grip, before more time passes, before you lose another month to distraction and delay. This is your moment to interrupt the cycle, to choose better, to live smart, to stop letting your habits control your direction, and start creating the future you actually want to live in.
Chapter 5. Build structure so you don't rely on motivation. Motivation feels good, but it's not dependable. It comes in waves. One day you're ready to take on the world. The next day, you can't even get out of bed on time. That's not because something is wrong with you. That's human nature. Everyone experiences it. The problem is, when you build your life around waiting to feel motivated, that's when your progress becomes inconsistent. That's when your dreams start to slip through your fingers, because you're depending on something that's not built to last. What you need is structure, clear, repeatable actions that guide you, whether you feel like it or not. When your life has structure, you no longer need to convince yourself every morning to take action. You already know what needs to be done. You don't waste time deciding. You don't debate with your feelings. You simply follow through. That's where real progress begins. Not in the rush of excitement, but in the clarity of consistent behavior. The more structure you have, the less energy you waste. You don't have to think about what comes next. You just do it. Most people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they rely on emotion to guide them. They chase motivation, thinking it will keep them going. And when it fades, they crash. Then they start over, again and again. But the people who win in life are not always the most talented or passionate. They are the most consistent. And consistency only comes when structure is in place. You don't build structure overnight. It starts with deciding how you want to live, and then creating systems around that vision. Structure is not control. It's not about being rigid. It's about designing a path that serves your goals. You decide what matters, and then you create routines to make sure it gets done, no matter what mood you're in. That's freedom. That's power. You don't wait until you're inspired to show up for your responsibilities. You build habits that make showing up automatic. That's the role of structure. It turns discipline into a routine, not a debate. You no longer have to ask, should I do it today? You already know the answer. You already have it planned. That removes the friction. It removes the mental weight. And over time, it makes you stronger. Without structure, your days will be guided by randomness. Some days will be productive, others will disappear in distractions, and you'll wonder why your life feels stuck. It's not a mystery, it's a pattern. Without a plan, you react to whatever shows up. But when you have structure, you stay in control. You move with intention. You protect your energy. Think about how much time people waste just trying to decide what to do. They scroll, they think, they avoid. That's time lost forever. Structure solves that. You wake up, you know your plan, you move forward, even if you're tired, even if you're stressed, even if everything around you feels chaotic, you stay steady. That's what systems give you. A steady path through unstable emotion. It doesn't have to be complicated. Structure can be simple. It's waking up at the same time every day. It's writing your goals the night before. It's blocking time for focused work. It's preparing your meals. It's limiting distractions. It's keeping promises to yourself. That kind of structure doesn't restrict your life. It builds it, because now you're not depending on energy to do what matters. You're depending on clarity and habit. The people who build strong lives don't wait for a perfect mindset.
They create systems that protect their focus and drive. They set rules for themselves, not because they enjoy discipline, but because they understand the cost of living without it. Without structure, your mind wanders, your time slips, your goals become blurry. But with structure, you bring everything back into place. You eliminate the guesswork. You don't need a 10-step formula to build structure. You need to decide what matters, then lock in the behaviors that support it. That might mean waking up earlier. That might mean removing toxic distractions. That might mean having hard limits on when you check your phone. It might mean planning your day in 30-minute blocks. These actions may not feel exciting, but they are powerful. They build control. They build flow. They build discipline without requiring willpower. Structure also helps you move faster. Without it, you waste mental energy starting from scratch every day. But with it, you build rhythm. You get in the zone quicker. You finish your work with more clarity. You reduce stress. You don't burn out from constantly trying to decide what's next. You already know, and when life gets busy, that's what saves you. Some people think structure makes life boring. That's not true. Chaos is what's boring. Doing the same thing every day and getting nowhere, that's boring. Structure gives you the power to do meaningful work, build real momentum, and actually enjoy your progress. It makes room for freedom. Because when your essentials are locked in, you have more space to think, to create, to explore. Without structure, your potential stays locked up. You'll always feel like you're falling behind, even when you're working hard. Because energy without direction is waste. But when your actions are part of a system, every step matters, every day moves you closer. That's when your confidence grows. Not because things are easy, but because they are aligned. Look at the areas of your life that feel chaotic. That's where structure is missing. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your work, maybe it's how you manage your time. Instead of blaming yourself for not being motivated, ask yourself, what structure would solve this problem? What system would remove the need for constant discipline? That's a smarter way to live. You can start small. You don't need a full system today. Just pick one part of your day that you want to control. Maybe it's your morning. Maybe it's how you close your day. Create a plan. Make it easy to follow. Remove the guesswork, stick to it, and over time, expand that structure into other areas. Soon you'll find that your days become smoother, your progress becomes steady, and your mindset becomes sharper. Motivation is a spark, but structure is the fire that keeps burning. Don't build your life around a feeling. Build it around a system that keeps working. No matter how you feel, because that's what creates real success. Not one good day, but thousands of steady days stacked on top of each other. And that only happens when structure is in place. Your goals are waiting, but they won't be reached by accident. They won't respond to hope. They respond to action. Consistent, focused, repeatable action. That's the power of structure. It doesn't just guide your day, it shapes your future. And once you experience life with structure, you'll never want to go back to the chaos. You'll stop chasing motivation because you'll already have something stronger, a system that works every single day.
Chapter 6. Hold yourself accountable when no one is watching. The real test of character doesn't happen when someone is watching you. It happens when no one is around. That's when it matters most. That's when you find out who you really are. Because when there's no one to impress, no one to clap for you,
and no one to check if you did the work. You are left with one person, yourself. And the question is, can you trust yourself to do what needs to be done, even when no one is checking? It's easy to show up when you're being held accountable by others. Deadlines, feedback, recognition, they create pressure. But real growth happens in the quiet moments. The moments when no one is texting you for updates. The moments when no one will notice if you take the easy way out. That's where discipline lives. That's where personal responsibility begins. And if you want to live a strong, successful life, you must learn how to hold yourself accountable without needing someone else to push you. You see, most people rely on external pressure to stay consistent. They need someone to push them, watch them, remind them. But what happens when no one is there? What happens when it's just you and your commitment? That's where most people fall. Not because they're incapable, but because they never learn to lead themselves. And in life, the person who can lead themselves wins. Every time you must develop the mindset that says, if I said I would do it, I do it. Even if no one asks, even if it's uncomfortable, even if there's no applause at the end. That's real maturity. That's strength. That's the kind of person who becomes unstoppable, because they don't need validation to stay on track. They don't need reminders. They operate on a higher standard, an internal one. When you learn to hold yourself accountable, you stop lying to yourself. You stop making excuses for skipped workouts, missed routines, and broken promises. You start facing yourself with honesty. And that honesty is where transformation begins. Because now, you're not pretending. You're not covering up. You're looking at your actions and asking, did I really do what I said I would do? If the answer is no, don't beat yourself up. Don't hide. Just fix it. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be real, to be responsible, to be someone who doesn't back out when the room is empty. The quiet moments are your training ground. That's where self-respect is built. That's where habits are formed. That's where discipline becomes natural. It's about living with standards that don't change just because the environment changes. It's about making your word mean something to yourself, not because anyone is watching, but because you are. And that's enough. You should be able to rely on you. You should be able to say, I'll get it done, and know it will happen. That's how leaders are built. That's how strong minds are developed. Quiet consistency. You don't need anyone's permission to level up your life. You don't need someone to guide your every move. At some point, you must decide that your life is your responsibility. Your growth is your job. Your effort belongs to you. That's where freedom lives. In ownership. You can have all the tools, all the information, all the motivation in the world. But if you can't trust yourself to follow through, none of it matters, because no one can build your life for you. They can guide you. They can inspire you, but they can't do the work. That's your job. And that's why self-accountability is the foundation of everything. Start by tracking your actions, not for anyone else, for yourself. Be honest. Did you wake up on time? Did you follow your plan? Did you make progress today? If the answer is no, don't hide from it. Don't justify it. Face it, then adjust. That's the daily practice. That's how you improve. Not by avoiding failure, but by holding yourself accountable to fix it. Build systems that help you stay accountable. Write your goals down. Review them daily. Set clear targets. Keep a journal. Reflect on your behavior. These aren't just productivity hacks. They're tools to keep you honest, to keep you focused, to remind you that your results are a reflection of your actions, not your intentions. You must remove the option to lie to yourself. That's what breaks momentum. That's what keeps people stuck. They start promising things to themselves, then they don't deliver. And with every broken promise, their confidence drops, their belief fades, and eventually, they stop trying. But when you build the habit of holding yourself accountable, even in the smallest ways, you rebuild that trust. You start to believe in your own discipline. You begin to see that you don't need someone to check on you. You don't need constant reminders. You don't need pressure. You've built the habit of checking on yourself. That's power. That's ownership. That's the beginning of something real. You'll find that once you commit to this, everything else gets easier. You stop feeling guilty. You stop making excuses. You start living in alignment, because you're not carrying the weight of unfinished tasks. You're not dragging around regret. You're clear. You're clean. You're showing up. And that gives you peace. That gives you pride. Accountability isn't punishment. It's protection. It protects your future from your present impulses. It keeps your standards high. It makes sure your life is moving in the right direction, even when no one's guiding it. And when you've mastered the ability to be consistent without being supervised, you become incredibly dangerous, in the best way, because now, you don't need a coach yelling at you to stay sharp. You don't need external rewards to keep moving. You've become self-led. You've become dependable. You've become the kind of person that others trust. Not just because you say the right things, but because your actions match your words. This isn't something you develop in one day. It takes effort. It takes reflection. It takes constant correction. But every time you do the hard thing without being told, you get stronger. Every time you show up early just because you said you would, you build resilience. Every time you check yourself when it would be easier to coast, you become more focused. If you keep depending on other people to hold you up, you'll always be limited by their attention. But when you build the muscle of self-accountability, you become unlimited, because now you're not waiting. You're creating. You're not hoping. You're acting. You're not guessing. You're leading. Ask yourself tonight, what did I say I would do today? Did I do it? And if not, why not? Was it really impossible? Or did I just let myself off the hook because no one would notice? Be honest. That's where change begins. That's where power lives. In truth. And remember, this isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about being real with yourself. It's about knowing that your future depends on what you do when it's just you. Not the big speeches, not the social media posts, not the public wins, but the private effort, the small decision, the quiet commitment. That's where transformation is born. In silence, in solitude, in the dark corners of the day, where most people check out. That's where you show up different. That's where you build the kind of discipline that can't be shaken, because it was built for you by you. With no audience, no applause, and no shortcuts. And that's exactly why it's strong.
Chapter 7. Follow your process even when results come slow. Most people start strong. They make the plan. They build the system. They take the first steps. And in the beginning, everything feels exciting. The process feels fresh. There's a spark in the air. You believe results are coming soon. You believe effort equals instant reward. But what happens when a week goes by and nothing changes? What happens when you're doing everything right, but nothing is showing yet? That's the real test, not how well you start, but how long you stick to your process when progress is slow. The truth is, growth takes longer than you expect. Results don't always match your effort in real time. And that's where most people quit, not because they aren't capable, but because they lose faith in their process too soon. They want fast feedback, they want immediate proof, and when it doesn't come, they assume something is wrong. But just because you can't see it yet, doesn't mean it isn't working. The process is like planting seeds. You don't see anything at first. The dirt looks the same, but something is happening under the surface. Your effort is building a foundation that hasn't shown itself yet. And if you keep digging it up to check for results, you slow it down, you lose momentum, you break the rhythm. Real change happens quietly, and often without warning. Then one day, you look back and realize everything is different.
but only if you kept going. Consistency without reward builds real strength. Anyone can stay committed when success is immediate. But the people who keep moving forward when progress is invisible, that's where the difference is made. That's what separates temporary effort from lasting discipline. You keep showing up not because of what you see, but because of what you believe. It takes maturity to trust your work when there's no applause. It takes focus to stay locked in when people around you are quitting. Most people get bored with the process. They think slow progress means failure, but that's not true. Slow progress is still progress, and often the slower it is, the more stable it becomes. Success isn't about being fast, it's about being steady. Fast results can fade just as quickly, but slow earned growth has roots. It lasts. It shapes you. It stays with you. And that kind of growth only happens when you don't chase outcomes. You build systems and follow them day after day, even when no one is watching and nothing seems to be changing. There will be mornings when you question why you're still doing this. You'll ask yourself if it's even worth it. But don't let emotions answer that question. Let your values answer. Let your commitment speak louder than your doubt. Because emotions will shift. Some days will feel flat. But your purpose doesn't change. Your goals don't disappear just because the results are delayed. You have to remind yourself that effort is not wasted. Every action you take adds weight to the result you're building. Every day you follow your process, you strengthen the foundation. You improve the skill. You sharpen the mindset. You build the patience. And all of that counts, even if you can't measure it yet. The people who reach their goals are not the ones who felt inspired every day. They're the ones who kept going, no matter how long it took. They built a life around actions, not emotions. They didn't panic when things slowed down. They stayed calm. They trusted the plan, and eventually, it paid off. You can't rush transformation. Real progress requires time, repetition, and discipline. There is no shortcut around this. If you want results that last, you have to be willing to endure the silence. You have to be okay with not seeing the reward right away. That's what makes your process solid. That's what makes you dependable. It's easy to change your plan when things slow down. It's tempting to try something new, to chase a faster option. But if your process is built on strong principles, if it's designed with purpose, then you must protect it. Don't abandon it just because it doesn't move as fast as you want. That's how people lose progress. They keep starting over. They never give their system time to work. Stick to what works, even if it feels repetitive. Progress hides in repetition. The more you repeat the right actions, the more powerful they become. Habits become stronger. Skills get sharper. Confidence grows, but only if you're willing to stay the course. Following your process during slow seasons builds trust with yourself. It proves that you're not someone who needs constant results to keep going. It shows that your discipline isn't fake, it's real. You're not just chasing motivation, you're building structure. And that kind of structure doesn't shake when the pace slows down. You'll be tempted to question everything. You'll wonder if your plan is broken. But remember, not seeing results doesn't mean failure. It just means growth is still in motion. It means your outcome is still forming. And if you quit now, you'll never know what was possible. You'll cut the process short right before the breakthrough. The people who win don't always move the fastest. They just refuse to stop. They know that speed is not the goals, sustainability. They don't base their actions on temporary feelings. They base them on long-term commitment, and that commitment keeps them moving, even when results are crawling. You have to be okay with slow days. You have to be okay with working while others are celebrating quick wins, because your foundation is deeper. Your focus is different. You're not here for fast validation. You're here to build something strong. When you understand that, your mindset changes. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You start respecting the process. You show up fully, even on slow days. You give your best, even when the scoreboard doesn't move. And that's what changes everything. The results will come, not on your timeline, but on the timeline of the work you've put in. And when they arrive, they'll be real, they'll be earned, they'll be strong, because you didn't chase them. You built them, and that's the kind of success that lasts. So stay in the process. Don't look around. Don't overthink. Don't try to skip ahead. Just do the work, every day, fully, honest, because that's where real growth lives. Not in the speed of your progress, but in the strength of your consistency. Keep following the process, even when the progress feels slow. That's how you win.
Chapter 8. Break the cycle of starting and quitting again. There's a frustrating cycle that too many people get trapped in. You get excited, you make a plan, you start strong, and somewhere along the way, it fades. Maybe it gets hard, maybe life gets busy, maybe your old habits start pulling you back. So you pause, you delay, and then you quit. Not loudly, not with a big announcement, just slowly, quietly. Days go by, and the thing you were working on becomes a memory. Then the guilt creeps in. You look back and wonder why you didn't follow through. And the worst part, you've been here before. This isn't the first time. You've started, and you've stopped. Again and again. That cycle eats away at your confidence. Every time you start something and don't finish, your belief in yourself weakens. You begin to doubt your ability to commit, and without commitment, you'll never experience the full result of anything you begin. No plan works without consistency. No success arrives from short bursts of effort. If you want to change your life, you have to break the cycle of starting and quitting. It begins by getting honest about why you keep stopping. Not the surface level excuse. Not "I was busy," or "I lost motivation." Go deeper. What's really happening when you give up? Is it fear of failure? Is it pressure to be perfect? Is it the discomfort of doing hard things for more than a few days? Until you understand why you quit, you'll keep repeating the pattern. Some people quit because they expect fast results. They start a goal, and when nothing changes quickly, they assume it's not working. But real growth doesn't happen on a schedule. It requires patience. It requires staying in the process, even when there's no feedback. Others quit because they expect things to always feel exciting. But the truth is, excitement fades. What carries you through is routine, not emotion. If your plan only works when you feel good, it's not a strong plan. You have to realize that quitting becomes a habit just like anything else. And once it becomes a habit, it gets easier to justify. You tell yourself you'll try again later. You say it wasn't the right time. You pretend it didn't matter that much. But deep down, it does matter. Because your future depends on what you finish, not just what you start. Ideas are everywhere. Execution is rare. And sustained effort is what separates talkers from doers. If you want to break the cycle, you have to make finishing a personal rule, not an optional choice, not something you do when it's convenient. You commit to seeing it through, even if progress is slow, even if no one else cares, even if the process feels boring. You show up because you made the decision to, not because conditions are perfect. That shift changes everything. When you decide that quitting is no longer on the table, you stop looking for the exit every time it gets tough. You stop starting over every few weeks. You stop chasing new plans just to escape the discomfort of staying consistent. You start making real progress. Not always fast, but real. And real progress adds up in a way
that bursts of energy never will. You also have to stop tying your identity to restart. You're not someone who can't stick to anything. You're not inconsistent by nature. That's not who you are, it's just what you've practiced. And if you've practiced quitting, you can practice finishing. You can rebuild the trust you lost with yourself. You can replace the old pattern with a stronger one. One choice at a time. Start small. Pick one thing. Not 10. Not everything at once. One thing you care about. One thing that matters. And decide this time, I don't stop. No matter how slow it feels. No matter how uncomfortable it gets. No matter how distracted the world becomes. I finish this. That commitment will start to rebuild the part of you that believes again. Create checkpoints. Track your progress. Not for the sake of achievement, but to remind yourself that you're still in. When you track your efforts, you create proof that you're moving. Even if the results aren't huge yet, you're showing up. And showing up is what breaks the cycle. Another important step is eliminating distractions that cause you to stop. Maybe it's comparing yourself to others. Maybe it's the voice in your head that says it's not worth it. Maybe it's the temptation to switch to something more fun or easier. Whatever it is, you need to identify what pulls you away from your goals and remove it. You don't need more options. You need more focus. Also, stop waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect time, the perfect energy. It doesn't exist. Progress is built through messy, ordinary days, through tired evenings, through busy mornings, through average moments stacked on top of each other. That's how change actually happens, not through breakthroughs, but through repetition, through doing the work even when it's not exciting. Build systems to keep you going. Set reminders. Prepare your environment. Make the next step easy to access. Reduce friction. Make it harder to quit. If you keep putting willpower up against comfort, comfort will win. So build a routine that protects you from your own tendencies to check out. And don't be afraid to ask for support. Not because you can't do it alone, but because accountability helps. Tell someone your goal. Share your progress. Let people know that this time is different. Not because the goal changed, but because you changed. Because you're no longer allowing yourself to keep repeating the same story. You're rewriting it. With action. With effort. With effort. With a new rule that says, I don't quit what I start. I may slow down. I may struggle. I may take a break. But I always come back. I always finish. That mindset gives you power. That mindset brings control back into your hands. You don't need more motivation. You need more follow-through. You don't need a fresh start. You need a solid finish. And that only comes from refusing to give up every time it gets difficult. That only comes from breaking the cycle and replacing it with something stronger: resilience. Resilience means continuing when you feel like stopping. It means choosing to stay committed when comfort calls you back. It means taking one more step when you're tired, unsure, or unmotivated. That one more step, that's what changes everything. So next time you feel the urge to stop, pause. Don't act on it. Ask yourself, what would happen if I didn't quit this time? Think about where you'd be in 6 months if you stuck to the plan instead of abandoning it. Think about how your life could look if you just kept going when it got boring, difficult, or slow. You already know what quitting feels like. You've done it before. This time, give yourself the gift of finishing. Let yourself experience what it feels like to follow through. Let yourself earn the pride that only comes from consistency. Because no shortcut, no restart, no new plan will ever feel as good as finishing what you once walked away from. Break the cycle. Not next month. Not after another reset. Now, pick something and commit fully. And when it gets hard, remind yourself starting was never the problem. Finishing is where the victory lives. And you are no longer someone who leaves things halfway done. You are someone who keeps going until the job is complete. That's the new standard. That's the new identity. And that's how your life begins to change for good. Chapter 9. Train your mind to finish what you start. Finishing what you start is one of the most important skills you'll ever build. It doesn't come naturally. It's not something you're born with. It's something you train, because the mind will always look for a way out when things get difficult, boring, or uncomfortable. That's how it protects you. But if you're not careful, that same instinct will steal your progress. You'll keep stopping before the breakthrough. You'll keep switching paths right before the results show up. And then you'll wonder why nothing ever feels complete, why your efforts never turn into outcomes. The answer is simple. Your mind hasn't been trained to finish. It's trained to start. Starting is easy. It comes with excitement. It gives you a rush. It makes you feel hopeful. But finishing is different. Finishing asks for grit. It asks for clarity. It asks for the ability to keep moving forward when your emotions tell you to quit. That's not natural. That has to be built. You train your mind to finish by practicing follow-through every single day. Not just on the big things. On the small things too. If you say you'll clean something, do it. If you say you'll make a call, make it. If you set a deadline, meet it. These aren't just tasks, they're signals to your brain. Every time you follow through, you're building a pattern, a mental path that says, we finish what we start. And over time, that path gets stronger. You start seeing yourself as someone who doesn't back out. You develop mental discipline. Most people train their mind to quit without realizing it. They set goals and abandon them. They create plans and ignore them. They say yes to something and then never follow up. It doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment, but it adds up. Your mind gets used to escaping effort. It learns that discomfort means stop, and that mindset, if not challenged, becomes your default. You stop trusting your own words. You stop believing your own promises, and that's where frustration sets in. But you can reverse that. You can teach your mind a new rule. We don't stop until it's done. Even if it's hard, even if it's inconvenient, even if it takes longer than expected. That's not pressure. That's structure. It's a system that protects you from quitting every time it gets uncomfortable. You don't need a big reason to finish something. You just need to decide that you're the kind of person who does. That mindset alone changes how you approach your work, your goals, your responsibilities. It gives you an edge, because while others are looking for motivation, you're moving through your checklist. While others are changing their plans every week, you're staying locked in. While others are second-guessing themselves, you're executing. You build that strength by doing what you said you'd do, even when you don't feel like it. You complete the workout. You finish the project. You write the final words. You don't leave tasks half done. You don't walk away because it's uncomfortable. You stay with it until it's complete. That kind of mindset doesn't just change your results. It changes how you see yourself. Every time you complete something, your mind records that. It adds to your identity. It gives you evidence that you can be trusted, that you're reliable, that you don't just dream, you deliver. That's how confidence is really built. Not through hype or praise, but through proof. And the proof comes from following through. When you train your mind to finish, you stop wasting energy on doubt. You stop starting over. You stop collecting half-built plans. You simplify your life. You commit, you act, you complete. That cycle brings peace. It brings focus. You're not wondering anymore. You're doing. You're not hesitating. You're moving forward. And over time that makes you powerful. This isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing what matters. All the way through. Choose fewer goals, but see them through. Cut the noise. Focus your attention. Remove the things that tempt you to quit halfway, whether it's distractions, overthinking, or comparison. Cut them out, because nothing is more exhausting than constantly starting over. Nothing drains your energy like giving up before the result shows up. You have to stay locked in long enough for things to work. That's the part most people skip. They get impatient. They want quick wins. But fast results aren't always real results. Real results are earned over time. They grow in silence. They appear after days of showing up, when you didn't want to, and you won't reach them if you keep changing direction. So stay on the path. Finish the course. Respect the timeline. You might not see immediate reward. You might not get quick feedback, but the act of finishing is the reward. Because with every completed task, you're reshaping your identity. You're turning into someone who gets things done. Someone who follows through. Someone who's dependable even when it's hard. And that kind of person always finds a way forward. Because they're not looking for the easy way out. They're building strength by staying in it. There will be moments when you want to quit. That's normal. Your brain will try to protect you from discomfort. But you have to lead it. You have to say, no, we're not stopping now. We're close. We're capable. We're committed. And then you act. That's how leadership works. Leading your own thoughts before trying to lead anything else. Don't wait for perfect energy. Don't expect perfect conditions. Train your mind to act under pressure. Train it to keep going through boredom. Train it to stay focused when things get slow. That's how you gain control over your future. By proving, day after day, that you don't just begin. You finish. You finish the workout. You finish the plan. You finish the task you once delayed. And each time you grow stronger, more confident, more capable. That consistency becomes your advantage. Because most people give up when it gets quiet. But you've learned to keep going. And that mindset alone sets you apart. Finishing isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about deciding that your goals matter enough to complete. It's about respecting your own time enough to follow through. It's about building a life where your actions are stronger than your excuses. If you want to train your mind to finish, start today. Pick one thing, not 5, just one, and complete it. No matter how long it takes, no matter how many breaks you need, just finish it. Then do it again and again until that pattern becomes normal. Until quitting becomes uncomfortable, until finishing is just who you are. That's how transformation happens, through the simple repeated act of staying with something until it's done. You don't need hype. You don't need applause. You just need to decide, I don't walk away from the things I start. I finish.
Chapter 10. Keep showing up until your system becomes automatic. Success doesn't come from doing something once. It comes from doing the right thing over and over, until it no longer feels like a choice. It just becomes part of how you live. The goal is not to get one good day or one good week. The goal is to build something that lasts. Something that works no matter how you feel, no matter what the day looks like. That only happens when you keep showing up long enough for your system to take over. When your system becomes automatic, your life starts moving forward without the constant fight. At the beginning, everything requires effort. You have to think through every step. You have to remind yourself why it matters. You have to push yourself to stay on track. That's normal. That's what starting looks like. But if you keep showing up, something powerful happens. Your mind adapts. Your behavior starts shifting. You begin to act with less hesitation,
The things that felt heavy begin to feel routine, and that's the moment everything changes, when your system no longer depends on motivation, but runs on rhythm. But you can't get to that point without repetition. You can't build automatic habits by showing up once in a while. You have to prove to your brain that this is how life works now. This is the new pattern. This is what we do. Not sometimes. Not when it's convenient. Every day. No matter what. That's how habits are installed. That's how discipline becomes part of your identity. Not because you force it forever, but because you've built a system strong enough to carry you even on the off days. You don't need to feel amazing to do the work. You don't need to wait until you're in the mood. That's where most people get stuck. They believe effort should feel exciting, but that's not how real change happens. Real change happens when you keep showing up during the dull moments, when you put your head down and stick to the plan even when your mind starts drifting, when you return to your structure every morning like it's your job. Because it is. There's nothing special about the people who build great lives. They just follow their system long enough that it becomes natural. You look at them and think they're lucky, disciplined, gifted. What you're really seeing is consistency that has been repeated so often it looks effortless. But it wasn't always that way. It started the same way it starts for everyone. One day at a time. One decision after another. And it only became automatic because they didn't stop when it was hard. You're not too far behind. You're not too late. You just need to decide that today matters. And then you decide again tomorrow. And again after that. You can't rush the process. But you can trust it. And the more you trust it, the less you depend on short-term emotion. Your focus shifts from outcome to action. From feeling to behavior. And that's where you take control. You might not see results in the first few days. That's okay. Results come later. Systems come first. You can't control every outcome, but you can control whether or not you stick to the plan. And when you do it often enough, it starts to feel like part of you. The decision gets easier. The resistance fades. You stop arguing with yourself about whether you'll do the work, you just do it. Like brushing your teeth. Like locking your door. It becomes normal, but don't expect that transition to happen fast. You have to earn it. You have to keep showing up through the early phase. When everything feels uncomfortable. That's the price of transformation, and most people aren't willing to pay it. They quit before the system becomes part of who they are, and then they wonder why nothing sticks. It's not because they failed. It's because they stopped too early. They walked away before the process had time to take root. You're building something that needs time. You're teaching your mind that there's a new way to live, and your mind won't believe it right away. It's used to your old patterns. It's going to resist. It's going to try to pull you back. That's not a sign to quit, it's a sign you're making progress. You're interrupting the old system and replacing it with a better one. Show up anyway, even if you don't feel like it. Even if it's late. Even if the day didn't go as planned. You're not doing this for a perfect record. You're doing this to prove to yourself that you finish what you start. That you're dependable. That you don't negotiate with effort anymore. You just act. Eventually you'll stop thinking so much. You'll stop second guessing. You'll move from decision to action, with less hesitation. That's the sign that your system is becoming automatic. You won't even realize it until one day you catch yourself following through without resistance. That's when it clicks. You're no longer trying to be consistent. You are consistent. And the best part, when your system is automatic, it frees up your mind to focus on other things. You're not wasting energy on whether you'll show up. You already did. You're not spending time trying to get started. You already started. That mental clarity allows you to be more creative, more focused, more intentional. That's the real reward of a solid system. It gives you back your freedom. So don't chase intensity, chase consistency. Don't worry about doing it all at once. Worry about doing it again tomorrow. Let the repetition carry you. Let the structure support you. Let the system do the work, and over time it will. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting every day, but it works. And when it becomes who you are, the results take care of themselves. You're no longer building discipline, you've become disciplined. You're no longer struggling to stay focused. You are focused, and that only happened because you kept showing up. Again and again, until the system didn't need to be forced. It simply ran on its own. That's how lives change. Not with one big push, but with a quiet decision repeated daily. So if you're tired, keep showing up. If you're unsure, stick to the plan. If you feel behind, trust your process. Because the system you build today becomes the future you live in tomorrow. And the only way to reach it is to keep going until it becomes automatic. Not because it's easy, but because you've made it a part of who you are.